The village of Steingarten huddled at the edge of the Black Forest. A ring of ancient trees, gnarled and silent, watched over the village. Mist clung to the cobblestone streets, whispering tales of old magic and forgotten fears. The air was heavy, filled with the scent of pine needles and damp earth. Steingarten was a place out of time, a forgotten corner of the world where shadows held their breath and waited. The villagers kept to themselves, their faces etched with a weariness that ran deeper than age. They spoke little of the forest, their words clipped and cautious. It was a place of whispers, of things unseen that lurked just beyond the reach of the lantern light. Steingarten existed in the shadow of the forest, bound to it by an ancient pact, a pact sealed in blood and whispered on the wind. Élodie remembered the stories her grandmother used to tell, stories of the creatures that roamed the forest, their eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. Stories of the pact, a bargain struck between the villagers and something old and hungry that lived in the heart of the woods. She had dismissed them as children's tales, but now, standing at the edge of the village, she felt a chill run down her spine. The forest seemed to press in on all sides, a living, breathing entity that watched her every move.
Élodie had not planned to return to Steingarten. She had left years ago seeking solace from the suffocating silence and watchful eyes of the village, but the news of her parents' deaths had drawn her back, a summons she could not ignore. Their deaths had been ruled an accident, a tragic fall from the cliffs overlooking the forest, but something about the official account didn't sit right with Élodie. There was an unsettling lack of detail, a hurried finality that felt wrong. She was determined to uncover the truth, even if it meant confronting the darkness that clung to Steingarten.
The village had not changed much in her absence. The same cobblestone streets, the same wary glances from the villagers, the same oppressive atmosphere of secrets and fear. It was as if time itself moved differently in Steingarten, trapped in an endless cycle of shadows and whispers. She could feel the weight of their gazes on her as she walked through the village square, a stranger in her own home. Her brother, Mathieu, greeted her with a strained embrace. He had aged, his face drawn and pale, his eyes haunted by a grief he seemed unwilling to share. He had been the one to find their parents, his cries echoing through the silent village as the first rays of dawn painted the sky a blood red. Élodie could see the pain etched into his features, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had brought her back. The tension between Élodie and Mathieu was palpable, almost suffocating in its intensity. He seemed distant, almost hostile to her questions about their parents' deaths, his demeanor cold and unyielding. He insisted it was an accident, a tragic misstep on the treacherous cliffs, a place they had always loved. But Élodie couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something, his words carefully chosen, his tone too rehearsed. His eyes darted away whenever she pressed for details, avoiding her gaze as if it burned him. Their once close bond was fractured, replaced by suspicion and unspoken accusations, a chasm that seemed impossible to bridge.
Margaux, her childhood friend, tried to bridge the gap, offering a shoulder to lean on and a voice of reason. She had always been the calming presence that soothed the often turbulent relationship between the siblings, a mediator in their conflicts. She reminded Élodie of their parents' love for the cliffs, how they would often hike there, finding peace in nature's embrace. They would often hike there, exploring the rugged terrain and marveling at the beauty around them. Finding solace in the breathtaking views and the sound of the wind whistling through the trees, it was their sanctuary. But even Margaux couldn't completely dispel the unease that had settled over Élodie, a gnawing feeling that something was terribly wrong. Her intuition whispered that something was amiss, a dissonance in the carefully constructed facade of an accident, a truth hidden in plain sight.
Élodie spent her days retracing her parents' last steps, visiting the cliffs, talking to the villagers, seeking answers in their familiar faces. Searching for any clue that could shed light on their deaths, she combed through the forest, hoping for a breakthrough. She found nothing but evasive answers and knowing glances, a community shrouded in secrecy. The villagers seemed to be bound by an unspoken agreement, a pact of silence that protected a truth too terrible to speak aloud, a collective burden they all carried. The weight of their silence pressed down on her, fueling her suspicions, making her more determined than ever. She was determined to break through the wall of secrecy, even if it meant unraveling the very fabric of Steingarten, a place she once called home.
One cool evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the village square, Élodie found herself drawn to Margaux's small cottage on the outskirts of Steingarten. The air was crisp, and the sky painted in hues of orange and pink, creating a serene yet mysterious atmosphere. The air was filled with the scent of wood smoke and something else, a faint metallic tang that sent a shiver down her spine. It was as if the very essence of the forest was whispering secrets to those who dared to listen.
Margaux, it's been so long. The village, it feels different now. There's an air of mystery that wasn't here before.
She found Margaux tending to her herb garden, her hands moving with a practiced grace among the fragrant leaves. The garden was a sanctuary, a place where the worries of the world seemed to fade away.
Élodie, my dear, the forest has a way of changing things, doesn't it? It holds secrets that even the oldest villagers don't fully understand.
As they sat together, sipping herbal tea, Margaux finally broke the silence that had hung heavy between them. The warmth of the tea contrasted with the chill of the evening, creating a moment of fragile comfort. She spoke of the forest, her voice low and hushed, her eyes reflecting the dying embers of the fire. The flickering light cast eerie shadows on the walls, adding to the sense of unease.
There's something you need to know about the Black Forest Pact. It's a story passed down through generations, a tale of caution and reverence. It's an ancient bargain struck between the villagers and a powerful entity that resides within the forest's depths. This entity is said to be as old as the trees themselves, a guardian and a judge.
A pact? What kind of pact? What does it demand from us?
It craves not blood or sacrifice, but something far more insidious. Secrets, whispered fears, the darkness that lurks in the hearts of men. It feeds on our hidden thoughts and unspoken words. In exchange for our offerings, the entity promises protection and prosperity. The village thrives, but at a cost that is not easily seen. But it's a double-edged sword. The protection it offers comes with strings attached, strings that can bind tighter than any chain.
Margaux's words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken warnings. The weight of the pact was palpable, a burden shared by all who knew of it.
Those who dare to break the silence, to speak of the entity or the pact, face its wrath. The forest does not forgive easily. Their whispers are silenced forever, their secrets buried deep within the forest's embrace. The trees themselves seem to guard these secrets, standing as silent sentinels.
She spoke of the pact with a mixture of reverence and fear, her voice barely a whisper, as if the very walls had ears. The room seemed to close in around them, the shadows growing longer.
So we are bound by silence and fear. The forest's grip on us is unyielding.
Yes, Élodie. The forest listens always. It hears our every word, our every thought. We must tread carefully.
Driven by a need for answers, Élodie ventured into the forest, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The air grew heavy, the sunlight struggling to penetrate the dense canopy of leaves, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. The trees seemed to close in around her, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, their silence broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures, adding to the sense of foreboding.
This place, it's alive, watching me. I can feel its eyes on me.
She could feel the weight of the forest's gaze upon her, a palpable presence that sent shivers down her spine, making her every step feel like a trespass. It was as if the forest itself was watching her, judging her every step, its ancient eyes hidden within the shadows.
I have to know the truth. I have to understand what lies within these woods.
As she pushed deeper into the woods, she began to experience strange occurrences, each more unsettling than the last. Whispers seemed to emanate from the trees, faint and indistinct, yet filled with a strange urgency, as if the forest itself was trying to communicate with her. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, taking on grotesque shapes that vanished as quickly as they appeared, leaving her questioning her own sanity.
What are you trying to tell me? What do you want from me?
The forest was alive, pulsing with an ancient energy that both terrified and enticed her, drawing her deeper into its embrace. It was a place of secrets and shadows, where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and every step felt like a journey into the unknown.
I can't turn back now. I need to find the answers I seek. I need to find it, whatever it is that calls to me from the depths of this forest.
She stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an ethereal light that seemed to come from nowhere, illuminating the darkness around her. In the center stood a gnarled oak, its branches reaching towards the heavens like the arms of a supplicant, ancient and wise. As she approached the tree, she felt a surge of energy, a tingling sensation that spread through her body, filling her with a sense of awe and reverence. It was as if the tree itself was calling to her, beckoning her closer, its presence both comforting and overwhelming.
This symbol, I've seen it before in my grandmother's stories, the entity, the guardian of the Black Forest Pact. Could it be real?
Carved into its trunk was a symbol, a spiral within a circle that seemed to throb with an inner light, pulsating with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. She recognized it from her grandmother's stories, the symbol of the entity, the guardian of the Black Forest Pact, a legend she had always thought was just a tale.